Golf's history is in the colors, and the call to the green at Harbour Town is made every spring at the Heritage. For 47 years, the game's best have been drawn to Hilton Head Island, tested by a course the island has grown up around, by the welcome embrace of the Lowcountry, by the challenge of winning one of golf's most cherished titles, and joining a glorious list of champions. It is time again for the RBC Heritage, where the golf world's tides turn, from the first shot to the final clinching putt. And we will bring you everything in between on Around the Green, live at the Heritage.
Good evening and welcome to Around the Green, live from the Heritage. I'm Tim Guidera along with Ken Griner, and we are at the Harbour Town Golf Links after a nearly perfect day in every way. Ideal weather conditions, ideal course conditions, and the field for the 49th RBC Heritage took full advantage.
The players said it afterwards, all of them coming in saying it was just perfect. The scores were really ripe, and we've got a great leaderboard, Tim, because
absolutely.
You know, we've got a little bit of everything. Luke Donald, a mainstay here, and kind of a feel-good story with Sam Saunders on that first page, because with all the tributes continuing on for Arnold Palmer, his grandson.
Exactly, and everybody chasing Bud Cauley, who went out, birdied his last two holes to shoot 63, 8 under par. That is his best round at Harbour Town by 5 shots.
Wow.
He had only had one sub-70 round previously. He's a former Walker Cupper and a star at Alabama. Came onto the tour with high expectations, has had some injuries, but he is on track this week.
Luke Donald with 4 tied for seconds here. That doesn't happen very often. Only 14 guys have done that on the tour since they started keeping those stats.
He's been in the top 3 6 times in the last 8 years. You know, he has not been playing well, but he's a different guy when he comes to Harbour Town. A former #1 in the world, now 96th. And he went out there today, shot 65. He is in a tie for second place with Russell Henley. And you mentioned Sam Saunders, Arnold Palmer's grandson, here on a sponsor's exemption, took part in the opening ceremony and birdied his last 2 holes to also shoot a 6 under par 65, and then a group of players there at 66. So it is a very tight leaderboard, a very good leaderboard. 71 players broke par today, 60 shot in the 60s. 8 players had bogey-free rounds. Today, there were 9 for the tournament last year.
There's the players better make some moves if they want to make the cut.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, it is so good out there right now.
How calm was it today? Number 17, the most exposed hole at Harbour Town, 25 birdies, 6 pars. You don't get a lot of days like that at Harbour.
I'd like to have one of those.
Absolutely. All right, well, so many highlights out here today. We're going to go to the WTOC studio. Rick Snow, you had a lot to choose from.
Oh, well, you certainly did. It was a great day out there with the wind laying down for a change. Let's take a look at some of these highlights. And the featured afternoon group was 2-time champion Jim Furyk, 2011 winner Brandt Snedeker, and 5-time titleist Davis Love III, who was celebrating his 53rd birthday. And he rolls in a 8-footer to birdie the par 5 15th hole. He's tied for 91st, though, at 1 over. 2014 champion Matt Kuchar on number 9. His approach is a good one, leaving him just a short putt for birdie, which he rolls in, and he's 3 under par, tied for 19th. Late in the afternoon on a windless Thursday, Webb Simpson with his approach in a Sunday foursome. This would be a gimme. He's 5 under par, tied for 5th place after his 5th straight birdie. On the par 3 4th hole, his 13th of the day, Graham Dillette for birdie. He rolls it in to go to 6 under par, tied for 2nd. Early in the day, Luke Donald on number 17, his 8th hole. He sticks it close for birdie. He's also 6 under par, tied for 2nd. And Arnold Palmer's grandson, Sam Saunders, with a birdie at 16. He's another at 6 under par and tied for 2nd. He tries to do what Arnie did in 1969 and win the Heritage. Playing on a normally windy day late in the afternoon at the Heritage, Bud Cauley on 16 with a birdie. He's tied for the lead at 6 under then. Then he goes to 17, sticks it close within birdie range, and would roll in that birdie putt. The 2009 Players Amateur Champion said he had a good day on the Harbour Town links.
Yeah, I played well. I drove the ball well, which is huge out here. Get myself some short clubs in and was able to, knock them in there fairly close and rolling some putts. I love this place. I mean, the weather's great. It's beautiful, so it's always a comfortable week for me. But it was just nice to play well.
Yeah, it was nice to get off to a great start today. It's the last month. My golf hasn't been what I'd like to, so it's nice to come back to a place I'm familiar and have had some success, and it was nice to feed off that and shoot low round today.
I feel like today I just hit a lot of greens, and when I didn't, I left myself in a spot I could get it up and down. And this is my 5th time playing the course, and just feel like I know my way around it, and if I can just execute the shots off the tee, I feel like that makes it a lot easier.
And Ken and Tim, when if the weather stays like this, there could be some record scores at the end of this thing on Sunday.
Absolutely. If you didn't break par today, Rick, you lost an opportunity. Thanks so much. You know, we laughed earlier in the week when on Tuesday, people referencing great course conditions, low wind, were asking if the record of 20 under par for the Heritage was in danger. We're almost halfway there. On Thursday.
That is a frightening stat, Tim. That's outstanding. And, of course, you know, one guy that was able to go out and break par was a local kid. And we always love to follow our locals.
Oh, yeah.
Let's take a look now as Mark Anderson, South Carolina grad, had a great day today, had it really going. He -2, 69 today. He started on the backside, birdied 10, 11, and 15. He'd make the turn at -3. He did have a bogey on number 7, finished -2 for the day. He's got one top 10 this year.
Mark could have used that hole-in-one he made on number 7 in media day.
Yeah, that's a great point. Don't you wish you could save those? As for Brian Harmon, Harmon is at level par. He had great chances at 9 and 10 today because just couldn't get the putts to fall at times. Had a bogey and a birdie on the front, even turn. This is Harmon on 18, and it just slips out. He could not believe that went in. And he also he would bounce back bogeys on 10 and 11, but he would bounce back with birdies on 12 and 13. Now, as for Anderson, he's feeling very comfortable here.
I mean, I feel comfortable here. I know the golf course probably better than any course I play on tour, but it's hard to feel comfortable at Harbour Town. It's kind of claustrophobic out there, especially when the wind picks up a little bit. You got to be precise. So I enjoy knowing the golf course, but I'm never feeling too easy out there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I had a bunch of looks coming in. Just couldn't really get comfortable in the front 9, and then didn't play 10 or 11 very well, but finished well. So, you know, we'll get some good scoring conditions in the morning, and hopefully have a good round.
So maybe Cauley will rub off on Harmon because both of them, they're playing in the same group with Johnson Wagner. They golf at 7-10 tomorrow, so hopefully he'll pick up a little something. Down
Brian
the
playing in his
karma.
8th Heritage, has only broken par in the first round once, but he's been around. Actually has some good finishes here. So
he's had a 65 in one of those middle rounds.
They get that early start tomorrow. Smooth greens, low wind. Hey, we didn't mention one of the players that we claim as local, 5-time Heritage champion Davis Love III.
The birthday boy.
The birthday boy,
53 today.
53rd birthday. Didn't play poorly. Had double bogeys on 2 par 3s. Number 4 and number 14 ended up at 1 over par, and he is tied for 51st place, I believe, at the time. No, 91st. I'm sorry, 91st place. All righty. Well, we got a lot more coming up on this show. When we come back, we're going to look back 6 months on what Harbour Town faced to get ready for this week and the effort it took to get here. Welcome back to Around the Green. Bud Cauley, your leader by 2 shots after the first round of the RBC Heritage. He's one of several players who took advantage of perfect scoring conditions today.
Yes, and keep in mind that a lot of these players out here, we've talked about it before, about the hurricane coming through 6 months ago, and things are just perfect out here.
Yeah, and you know, that really was the subject of conversation early in the week, that 6 months ago we didn't know if there would be a 49th RBC Heritage because there was so much damage to Hilton Head, to Harbour Town, but that was never going to be the case. This community made sure that this week came, and this week came off as it always does. Let's take a look at the collective effort it took to get to this week at Harbour Town.
And after that, you just start rallying and you start seeing everybody come together, and it took everybody to come together.
Hurricane Matthew was not a Harbour Town problem. It was a Hilton Head problem, a low country problem. And that's who started to repair the damage the Category 2 storm did to a golf course just 6 months before it was to host a PGA Tour event.
Yeah, no, it's great. Everybody was fully committed. As soon as we can get back on the island, I think everybody rallied around and did what they could to help out. And you can really tell everybody takes great pride in how it looks now, and it's just phenomenal.
The same way the Heritage is a community event, it was a community effort to ensure the PGA Tour would be back here this week. Now that it is, the pride in that collective commitment is as palpable as the excitement the game's best bring.
I mean, it's one of those things to think of where we've come in 6 months, but where we've come together as a community, where we've come together as a team, where we've come together as Hilton Head strong and, it's truly low country strong, knowing where we've been.
It took everybody's enthusiastic support of a common cause, and we came together and look what we got. We're having it's a great celebration that we've overcome.
It's easy when you get to this point to just look forward. But a lot of people went through a lot of effort and made significant sacrifices for this to happen. Yeah. And so for us to be standing literally on that very spot in these immaculate conditions, to me, that's a testament to who we are as a community.
Well, Harbour Town lost about 260 trees in the hurricane. Only about 5, though, would have come into play. And players are saying there was actually a benefit from that because the thinning of the trees has created more airflow, more sunlight. Of course, everybody's saying in the best shape maybe ever.
Davis said he's never seen it greener, and all the players said the integrity of the course has been maintained here.
Absolutely. Well, the RBC Heritage Pro-Am has become so popular they had to start a second Pro-Am. When we come back on Around the Green, Cristina Tuso is going to introduce us to one of the very special amateurs in the Pro-Am. Well, Wednesday is the busiest day of Heritage Week, and it is also one of the most fun because that's when the amateurs get to play with and test their games against the pros.
It is so much fun. They, for the first time, now have 2 Pro-Ams. For a closer look at a very inspirational story, we now have to go to our Cristina Tuso. Cristina?
Well, guys, I might preface this by saying that we went to the Pro-Am with the intent of covering an entirely different story, and then we met Tommy Marks. One of the greatest joys of the game of golf is taking a great shot and seeing where it will lead to. But what if you can't see at all? Well, we met a man that showed us that even without sight, golf is still a joy.
When I actually look down at the golf ball, I can't see the golf ball or my club.
Thomas Marks isn't an anomaly out here because he's a lefty. It's because he's taking on 18 holes and legally blind. Marks started playing when he was 11 years old. At 21, when he could no longer see the board in his college classroom, he was diagnosed with a juvenile form of macular degeneration called Stargardt's.
It's kind of a struggle to make contact sometimes.
No one in Marks' foursome would say that contact was an issue. After all, he brought a 7 handicap to play in the RBC Heritage Pro-Am. This is a passion, but Marks is out here on a mission to revolutionize and show that blind golf can be done, and done well.
Just like anybody else, when he hits a bad shot, he gets angry and frustrated, and he's hit some really good shots. We owe him a good bit for our score right now.
Marks does require the occasional help.
I just float it right over the cart sign.
Today, that means that caddy Kelly Manassi would be his eyes.
He's just easygoing, pleasant. He's got a great relationship with his dad. His dad will sneak in and say, tell him to not hit driver, hit 3-wood. But they're so inspirational together, lining up and telling him, where to aim at. He can see the dark images in the tree lines, and so we try to line him up at that.
While some might consider his loss of vision a shortcoming, others say it's his ability to visualize and feel that make him great.
I feel like sometimes, the feel for the game, because they can't see, is actually pretty good. They just feel it and they just swing, and it's great. It's amazing what they're capable of doing.
There's always hope. There's always something that you can be doing, not sitting around and doing nothing, but being active and taking part.
We might mention that Tommy Marks' condition will one day lead to central blindness, but he has no way let that stop him. He has won back-to-back U.S. Blind Golf Association championships. This year he won it by 11 shots. Guys, back to you.
He's got a great swing.
No doubt. They say 7 handicap.
Unbelievable.
It's great.
Well, the star of the show at the RBC Heritage Pro-Am over here at Harbour Town was not one of the pros. That was also one of the paying customers. Dr. Nelson Carswell played in his 49th consecutive Heritage Pro-Am. He started in 1969 and Thanksgiving weekend when they played the first Heritage. He's been at every one since, and he says he plans on being at his 50th next year.
you got to admire that, too. He's done an outstanding job, and he was a pleasure to talk to, wasn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. He's an 89-year-old pediatrician from Dublin, Georgia, owns a home here at Sea Pines. Used to fly his own plane here, and when he arrived, he'd buzz the clubhouse, and that let everybody know, okay, it's time to get over to the airport and pick up Dr. Carswell.
He just doesn't care. He's taking a swing with a big old stogie in his mouth, right?
Yeah,
hey, when we come back, we will take a look at the round 2 forecast, so stay with us.
Temperatures got up into the 80s, some hot scoring on Hilton Head Island with 81 for an afternoon high. Savannah got up to 84. Look at the showers and thunderstorms that are far to our west. They are not a part of our forecast at all. Beautiful conditions for tonight. Beautiful conditions expected for tomorrow. Here's your first alert planner for tomorrow and for the Heritage Golf Tournament Round 2. Temperatures up into the 80s as we go along with little chance of any precipitation. Guys, notice the wind change too, northeast to southeast. Tim and Ken, back to you.
It just looks like it's going to be great all week, doesn't it? But, you know, the Heritage has a reputation for always attracting a strong international field. This year, no different. The top-ranked player in the field, Terrell Hatton, number 16, is here. He's from England. And then also 8 of the top 30 players in the world here, 6 of them are international players.
Last year's champ, Brandon Grace, he was the 11th international player individual to win this tournament.
All right, well, it's also developed a bit of an international reputation with the players.
I think a big part of it is if you play in the Masters and you get into this week as well, which is quite nice. So it's a good 2-week stint for guys, and especially if you're trying to get your PGA Tour card, it's definitely a good event to play.
It's closer to how we play in Europe, no? That we need to be a bit more accurate from the tee and really think on where to place it. It's not just a course that you just grip it and rip it or anything like that, and the fact that with small greens and a bit of runoffs, tricky bunkers, it does feel a little European in that sense.
Back to the video. All right, well, the most colorful of those international players here this week, Andrew Johnston, better known as Beef. He's got a lot of personality. Fans always love him. He's befriended John Daly, who actually made some calls to the tournament office on his behalf to get him into the Heritage on a sponsor's exemption. And they put together some hilarious online videos. Beef's sponsored by Arby's. And John Daly takes issue with how he says it with his English accent. And that also raises an interesting question for this week.
I'd say Arby's, and then John told me to say Arby's, like that.
How did he tell you to say the tournament's name?
He didn't. I'm stuck. I'm going to have to call him. I guess it's the RBC.
The RBC sounds like a pirate, maybe.
Absolutely, Tim.
All right, when we come back on Around the Green, we'll wrap it up and take a look ahead to round 2 of the RBC Heritage. Well, a lot of the players at the top of the leaderboard go off early tomorrow, including the leader by 2 shots, Bud Cauley. He starts 7-10 on the 10th tee, plays with Brian Harmon.
Yeah, Harmon, local contingent out there. Russell Henley trying to keep a good thing going. He's at 1240 with Matt Kuchar, who loves this course.
Graham Dillette tied for second. He goes off early, also at 7-10 off of number 1 tee. It all gets started early tomorrow morning. But come back tomorrow night at 7:30 and join us for a wrap-up for round 2 of the RBC Heritage on Around the Green. We'll be live back here at Harbour Town.
All right, for Tim Guidera, I'm Ken Griner. Good night, everyone.